The special report that we planned to bring you tonight was about domestic politics, the battle among the Democrats. But we think the crisis in Iran is more urgent right now than the campaign here at home. Some 60 Americans, including our fellow citizen whom you just saw bound and blindfolded, are now beginning their 6th day of captivity inside the U.S. Embassy in Tehran.
The country in the Middle East, predominantly Muslim, are seeking nuclear capabilities for nuclear weapons. There's a lot of sanctions on Iran right now from the United States, and China has been, and their president, there's like President Hu, has been talking to Obama about increasing sanctions on Iran as well.
That there's a concern that they're hiding nuclear weapons, and that the U.S. has a concern with that, and that, I don't know, we want to figure out if they have or not, and that's about all I know.
Do you know any Iranian Americans, or do you know anything about Iranian culture?
No.
Do you know where Iran is located geographically?
Yes.
Where?
In the Middle East.
The most direct way that I experience it is that, initially, a few years ago, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to say I was Iranian. I'd kind of play around the question, and people would ask me. And, I got all those insults like terrorist or, like, you're building bombs down there, what's going on? Like, are you a spy? Someone actually asked me that once, like, in a serious way. I was like, no, dude. It's hard, at the same time, it's very, very important that I keep my identity as an Iranian because, that's who I am, that's who my family is, that's who my parents identify with. A lot of my best friends in the world are Iranians, and I grew up with them, grew up with the culture. So when I'm asked now, ever since I found a group of Iranians that really appreciate the culture, I started appreciating it a lot more too. I'm very upfront with people now. I just say I'm Iranian. And once in a while you have someone that asks you, is that like Iraq? No. I've found a balance, between being American and being Iranian. I identify as American, absolutely. I'm an American citizen. I love this country, and I also love Iran. Because of all the history that my family and my friends have with that nation, I've learned to appreciate a lot of the nuances that make Iranian culture so interesting and fun to be a part of. The best way would to be make some Iranian friends, talk to them about it, learn a little bit. That's basically all I can say, just education about the culture. When people see constant negative headlines about Iran did this, Iran did that, the atmosphere of fear surrounding Iran is at an all-time high right now. And people have to realize that Iranians who live here love their country, America, I mean, and also the people in Iran, most of them have no problem with America whatsoever. In fact, as I previously mentioned, it's something they want to learn about. So I think that we have a organization on this campus, Iranian Cultural Association. We have events all the time. We love to see non-Iranians come and just experience the culture with us. And I think once that starts happening on a greater scale around the nation, a lot of those preconceptions will be dissolved, and people will have a different view about Iran. I'm Amin Qaneh Izabadi. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, raised in the suburbs, and I'm studying molecular and cellular biology at University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Iranian Cultural Association can hold many, events that, for example, Nowruz events or Yalda events and many other traditional things that we do in Iran to introduce our culture to other people, especially U.S. people.
Very diverse area. in regards to religion, most of the people that live there are Persian. They are descendants of like people who were there from the beginning of the Persian Empire. Just because Shiraz is very close in vicinity to the capital of Iran during the time of the Persian Empire, which we'll get to in a little bit. But the population is about 1.2. It's the sixth most populous city in Iran. And something that people may not know, because when Iran is portrayed in the media, it's just kind of shown that everyone is Muslim. That's not necessarily true. There exists a Jewish, a Baha'i, Christian population as well, and Shiraz is one of the cities that has one of the second most largest population of Jewish Iranians. And there are also two churches in Shiraz. One's Anglican and one is Armenian.
حدیث مدرسه و خانقه مگو که باز فتاده در سر حافظ هوای میخوان.
می سجاده رنگین کن گرت پیر مغان گوید که سالک بی خبر نبود ز راه و رسم منزل ها.
I had, like, definitely, I was always the kid in class, because I grew up in Glen Ellen. It was a very, very white, populated area, and like I was like the only like colored or not white kid in my school, even though I was not in school, in class, sorry. But even though I'm Caucasian, technically, Iranian people are Caucasian. But anyways, when I'd speak a different language, the kids would be like, oh, what language are you speaking? And it wasn't until 9/11 happened where I started getting negative feedback because of it. They started calling me like camel jockey and like terrorist, like, oh, you were bombing us, you guys did this. Like, I remember the morning of 9/11, I went to class, I was in 5th grade, walked in, and this kid comes up to me and is like, did you hear what happened? I'm like, I had no idea because I hadn't seen the news in the morning, and it happened right when class started. And the kid was like, yeah, your country did this to us. Your country brought down the Twin Towers, and I was just shocked, and I had no idea what was going on. Like, why would our country do that? And it wasn't our country at all. Iran had no involvement in that. In fact, like, the Iranian government sent, like, the U.S. Condolences, like, that day about what had happened. And it's just sad that we get stereotyped as being, like, these Muslim extremists and terrorists that do all these awful things, because we don't. We get a lot of bad media from the media, which we can't help, as we're in like this awful region of the world where, even though it's full of history, it's also full of conflict within different political groups. So it's unfortunate that has to happen. But as an individual who is from there, I assure you that not everything you see in the media is necessarily true. It's skewed. Just like if you were to go there, anything that you'd hear about the United States would be exactly the opposite of what it is, because they're trying to shed a bad light on here as we are there. People say that they're surprised at how like Iranian technically I am for being someone who was born in the United States. Like I can pretty much like compare to anyone that just recently come. But I want to say like my family is responsible for that because of the way they raised me. They've raised me in a way that made me interested in our culture, and I've maintained like an interest in Iranian music, Iranian food, and like when I first came to campus, like growing up, I didn't have that many Iranian friends that were my age. So like I've always wanted Iranian friends. Like I'd ask my cousins, I'd be like, hey, you know, like introduce me to some Iranian people my age, and they're like, no, your time will come, your time will come. So finally, when I came to school here, I was like, all right, this is my time. I'm gonna go find some Iranian friends. I'm gonna relate to them, because you can relate to people from your own culture on a completely different level than you can others. So I became involved in the Persian Cultural Association. I became the president my sophomore year, and I did a lot of like choreographing and dancing, and just heavily involved in the organization. And I spent a lot of time with Iranian people, and when I'm with them, I speak Farsi as I would with my family. And because of this, my Farsi has also improved more than it would have.
It's a developing country which many people with different culture live together. You can see richness of our culture in everything, like our traditional and delicious food, our courtesy toward foreign people in our ancient and majestic buildings. Moreover, in spite of what media present about Iran, you can see modernism in all parts of Iranian life, especially middle-class families. I hope Iranian Cultural Association can change U.S. people's viewpoints to our Iran and Iranian people and show them how much our lifestyles are close together.
After attending the Iranian Culture Club Association meeting, I think one thing that struck me is that growing up we hear a lot about the melting pot of America and the different cultures and countries that have come together to make this country, but Iranian Americans, I never considered them a part of it. I didn't even know that there were Iranian Americans in this community, which seems ridiculous in retrospect. And what I really enjoyed about the Culture Night was that they were so eager and hospitable, and it wasn't a political situation where we were discussing and debating heatedly. It was truly a love of the literature and the poetry and the food and a chance for them to share stories and forge and maintain these ties to their identity. And we were just blown away by the cool people that we met, and I would definitely go back for sure.